In 2019, the COVID-19 began to spread globally. Many overseas people living in Singapore were unable to return home due to the epidemic and have to choose to stay in Singapore. Now that 2 years have passed, the number of sick people is still climbing. Returning home has become more difficult for them. I interviewed Ms. Zhang Rou from China and Mr. Kim Sam-woo from Korea to ask them about their views on staying in Singapore due to the epidemic and how they have changed.
At the beginning of the epidemic, the situation in China was more serious, so I chose to stay in Singapore at that time. But when the epidemic was gradually resolved in China and the number of infected people in Singapore started to climb, I could no longer buy a ticket to return home.
In fact, it's funny you say that I never intend to return to my country from the beginning. I misjudged the severity of the disease, and by the time globalization spread, I was afraid that I would be infected on my way back home. So I simply choose to stay in Singapore.
I am a Chinese food store owner in food court, and the biggest impact is the loss of many regular customers. I used to have many Chinese students coming to my store every day, but because of the epidemic, they all went back home. Because of the policy of not allowing dining, I have lost about 50% of my customers compared to before.
The university has completely entered the era of online classes, and although you can also acquire knowledge normally, classes become much more boring and less efficient because there's no teacher or classmates to supervise you.
Another is the time problem. Before I had hired 2 staff 24 hours in shifts, but they both bought tickets back home. Now I can only operate 8 hours a day, stocking and cleaning up alone. Efficiency is completely unable to keep up. I can say that this epidemic is not friendly to me.
I'm now getting used to the online style of classes, and I'm using my free time to learn to make videos and programs. So I'm actually a rather introverted person myself. So socializing without going out is quite suitable for me.
My biggest hope now is to be able to grab a ticket back home. But now the tickets are really too expensive, not I can afford. I haven't been home to see my kids and family in over 2 years, and I miss them. If I can't go back to my country, all I can do is to continue to do my job.
I was communicating with my family every day, and also they missed me too, but they were actually much relieved to see that I was studying normally while staying safe. I'm a relatively independent person, so it doesn't make much difference to me whether I go back to my country or not. I do like the feeling of being alone and continuing to work quietly, like to the exclusion of socializing. And I've been quite successful in self-publishing lately, so I don't really have any defined plans at the moment. If I had to say anything, I think it will be to graduate normally.
It may not end soon. It may continue to develop in about 5 to 6 years. My opinion is not optimistic because now many countries do not pay attention to this disease.
With the current data and development trend, it is likely that it will go all the way to herd immunity. So I hope that scientists can soon work on a vaccine that it can solve this disease and return the world to normal.
In my interviews, these two people had different views and attitudes. However, they are both the most direct victims of the epidemic. I hope this desire can be end soon and people can see their families who miss them soon.